Hi, this is Pam and Tommy part 1. You guys like rock and roll, right? Because this is some rock and roll shit. And very sad. Very sad. Before we get started, I just want to say, I love Pamela Anderson. I love her. I think she's goodness. She's human. And I feel like she leads with love in everything that she does. She seems to be so kind. She's an activist. The things that she went through when she was a child, no child should go through. A little TWSA. Her babysitter, her friend's brother when he was 25 and she was 12. And then 2 years later, her boyfriend and 6 of his friends, the attacks that she survived, and she's an icon through and through. She was discovered, she's Canadian, and she was discovered when she went to Montreal or something to shoot a Playboy shoot. Hugh Hefner called her the DNA of Playboy. And while she was at this football game, she got on the jumbo screen, and the crowd went insane. Okay, and that's how she was discovered. Baywatch, so much. I love her. And Tommy Lee was in a rock band called Motley Crue, and I want you to think about the most rock and roll horrible shit you can imagine, and then multiply it by 1 trillion, and that was Motley Crue and the things that they did. They were not drinking green juices, no. So together, they're this iconic pinup model, right? And this hair metal band rock and roll icon. And they're from a time in LA when it was Viper Room, real rock and roll shit, old Hollywood LA. Like that real 90s Hollywood tabloid culture. Here's her astrology. Don't roll your eyes at me. That's very rude. So Pamela is a Cancer sun, Aries moon, Gemini rising, and he's a Libra. He's a Libra sun and Sagittarius moon. We don't know his time of birth. We don't know his time of birth. His time of birth is unknown. So this tale begins when all the worst tales begin, in the 90s. So 1995, they meet at a New Year's Eve party, and Tommy sees her and walks up to her and licks her face. I want to be better. I want to think that's hot, but unfortunately I'm a George Costanza of a person. She's super turned off, but she's whatever. He's nice, I guess. I'll give him my number. 2 weeks later, he calls her up and she's like, actually, I'm going to go to a photo shoot in Cancun. And he's like, oh, can I come? And she was like, no. And he showed up anyways. And she was furious. But her friends were like, come on, he's so nice. Give him a chance. That's that young shit that we find attractive. If that happened to me today, and be like, have a good time in Mexico. But when you're young, you're like, oh my gosh, he must really like me. Oh my God, Okay, Pam and Tommy part 2. So he meets her in Cancun, whatever. She's like, let me just go with it. Apparently have an incredible time. While in Cancun on their second date, the second time they're meeting. So apparently during their second date, that night, they were spotted going to a string bikini contest, which, does it even have anymore? I'm in the 90s and early 2000s, we were all about it, okay? And drinking Cristal all night. So around day 3, this bar manager at this club called Tequila Rock was everyone's dancing. Tommy and Pam, her and I are friends now, me and P, were partying, and all of a sudden Tommy just starts screaming, I want to marry you. And the next day they were married. They got married after 96 hours of knowing one another, which is sufficient time. In the Stone Age, in Downton Abbey times, maybe, but this is 1995, babe. But it's rock and roll. You think that's what we want? A teenage dream. Maybe Katy Perry references aren't so rock and roll in this story. So the next day, after 96 hours of knowing one another, they got married on the beach. She was wearing a white bikini, which she loves to do, with Kid Rock too. And he was wearing khaki shorts, and there were 8 guests, and everyone was barefoot. And as soon as the nuptials were over, he threw her into the ocean. I would kill you. I don't like that shit. I don't like practical jokes. I don't like splashies when I'm dry. Let me get into the water at my own pace, if I even get in at all. Because there's sharks there. Okay? No thanks. Apparently, though, Pamela was telling people, he asked me to marry him day 1. I held out. I could have done it then, but I waited. So after getting married and having this whirlwind romance, they come back to California and they get a house in Malibu. And according to reports, they were fucked up on martinis and herbal relaxations before noon on a regular basis. But she's 28. Live your life, you know? Later on in life, your pH can't handle that. I'm sorry, but it's true. I'm just being real. Like, it's you and me right now. It's real. Like, dale que tu puede while you can vibe. So they had this electrician working on site, this guy named Rand Gautier. He's a dick, so I want to call him Gautier. Yeah, Rand Gautier was on site. Apparently he couldn't keep up with like the couple's demands, and he was just like abruptly fired one day. And he was like, you guys owe me $20,000. And they were like, too fucking bad. I know it's a dick thing to do for sure. They're probably fucked up, to be honest. So one day Rand was like, well, I need to go get my tools because I'm an electrician and that's how I make money, which I understand. But when he showed up to the property, Tommy came up to him with a fucking part 3, Pamela and Tommy. And I know this is a sad story, but I love this photo of them. Oh, that made myself a little too small. I just want to say that when they got married, I was 5, and I still remember time stopping. Like, I know we talk about like Angelina Jolie and Billy Bob and like other rock and roll couples, but like there will never be another rock and roll couple like this. This was real life, like real. You want to talk about rock star girlfriend trend? You can thank Pam. Yeah. I feel like I'm saying Pam because I've been watching a lot of The Office, and I don't think that's cool. I'm going to read you a quote from the New York Times. They said it was a shocking commitment for the rocker who is known for binging on groupies, drugging heroically, and swallowing small light bulbs for kicks. For kicks. I have a Merlot for kicks. So anyway, Rand is like, hey, I'm coming to get my stuff, comes gets his stuff, and Tommy Lee comes out with a shotgun. He's like, get the fuck off my property. And he's like, yo, I'm just trying to get my stuff. And he's like, I don't give a shit. And like kicks him out. Which I know right now, you're like, dude, what a dick. But he had a point. Because Rand is a disgusting asshole. He's gross. So he was so pissed, he went back to his buddies and he's like, yo, let's rob them. So one night at 3 a.m., him and his buddies come in and steal their safe out of the garage. They were expecting to find, some of Tommy's weapons and like, he had a lot of guns or whatever. TikTok, let me keep this up, please. It's not mine. It's Tommy's. It's not mine. And they thought they were going to find a lot of jewelry and watches and cash, and they did. But then they also found a VHS of their honeymoon. I'm going to tell you something. We know about celebrity schmexy tapes. I know that we know them. But to this day, if you were around during this time, I was 5. And to this day, when I hear celebrity schmexy tape, I think, oh, Pam and Tommy. Like, that was everywhere. Pre-internet. Okay, I'm getting ahead of myself. Magazines to this day call it one of the most infamous stolen celebrity artifacts ever, which is gross. You know what's crazy though? I know it's about Pam and Tommy, but Paris Hilton's, she did that with her boyfriend, and he like went behind her back and sold the tapes to everyone, and she married him. Rick Solomon. She married him twice. That's weird, right? Whatever, anyway. So immediately Rand and his friends start selling this tape, which is fucking disgusting. I remember a lot of people, which I'm sure like in some like masculine toxic way, they thought they were complimenting Tommy. Part 4, Pamela and Tommy. Part 4, Pamela and Tommy. Tonight on 2020. So yeah, immediately people all over are talking about, so you'd buy the freaking tape from these weirdos, and they would mail you a VHS for $55. You could get the VHS of a married couple who had this tape in their safe that was stolen from them, mailed to your house for your own viewing. That is, if that happened today, people would go in, like the justice war, like we would go, are you kidding? And everyone was complimenting Tommy Lee and, oh, it's so, I can't even, like, this is TikTok. But they were saying, what if Big ego. Such a big ego. But I can't even, like, I'm laughing, but like, I can't even imagine like the violation that, like, you know, like millions of people are buying these, and these people who stole from your house are becoming wealthy off you and your wife's honeymoon. I don't care if you knew each other for 2 hours. That's a private moment between a couple that like loved each other that was stolen from their house. But you also know what I do remember? People talking about on the news, talking about how many times they said, I love you so much, you're so beautiful. Like, and people are just watching that, like feeling like they're like closer to them. Like, gross. I just feel like that's private. And there's so much like other shit you can watch where people were like, yeah, I'm doing this for that intent. But it's like this like sneaky voyeur, gross, icky feeling that gives me every fucking time. And this poor woman, like obviously Tommy Lee is a victim of this too, but like this poor woman's been violated so many fucking times. You know, she finally gets to a point where she can show her body, like on her, what's it called? Like on her, when she wants to. And Rand, the electrician, is like fuck off. No amount of money makes that right. He owes me money. I don't give a fuck. And they were also like these sex icons, right? So people like were like dying to see Pamela in the act, and like Tommy, and like gross. There were also Polaroids in the vault, and they sold them to Penthouse, and Penthouse published them. Isn't that, I think, to me that's insane. Is that not insane? That's insanity. Like, so obviously they go to court, and Tommy and Pamela have both said in many interviews that was like the beginning of the chaos. Like that tension and that violation, like that was the beginning. Pamela was super depressed, obviously. But reportedly they were also like a very silly couple. Pamela said like Tommy and his friends would often like put on her clothes and like dance around, and they would laugh a lot. And part 5, Pam and Tommy. This pic makes me feel like two kids in love. Like, I guess there's a bunch of photos of them dressed up at the VMAs, the AMAs, all these different awards, but like this is real to me. You know what I mean? Like, I don't have to see them bone to know that they loved each other. Okay? Gross. So yeah, apparently they were a silly couple. Like, Pamela would let Tommy and his friends wear her clothes, and like they would go kickboxing and each other in like her bikinis, like funny stuff, you know. And Pamela was always like, I could always get Tommy out of a bad mood. Apparently he's very moody. So during this time, like right after they sued, so Pamela suffers a miscarriage. Horrible. And she was filming this movie, Barbed Wire. I think Kendall Jenner dressed up as that character for Halloween. Super sexy, super hot. And it was supposed to be like the movie that was going to change everything for her. And it didn't do well. So it kind of bombed. And it's like a cult classic now, you know. But it kind of bombed. And apparently, rumored, never confirmed, that she tried to like injure herself, you know. It's just a lot. I feel like it would just be very overwhelming, like trying to move on from this and like trying to enjoy your marriage and like being in the tabloids all the time, and all she wanted was babies, you know. So also reportedly during this time when she was filming Barbed Wire, Tommy Lee was like on set and being like very controlling, like making his presence extremely known. I truly think that Tommy Lee is more of an emotional guy than he let on during this time. I think when people see like a drummer or like anybody in music, like in a band like Motley Crue, they think of this like untouchable, cool guy. And I think from what I've read about him that he's very sensitive. And he also always saw himself as like this family man. He didn't have a great upbringing, and he very much wanted to create a safe, happy environment with someone who he's crazy about. He was crazy about Pamela Anderson. Like, we'll get into it. But I think, honestly, his substance abuse just, it couldn't come to fruition for him. Come into fruition, be fruitioned. It wasn't fruitioning for him. So they end up having 2 sons, and I think in 1995 and 1997. 2 boys. One of them was on the Hills recently, but they gave him some good names. Listen to these names. Brandon Thomas Lee and Dylan Jagger Lee. Dylan Jagger. To me, that's okay. They're both home births. To me, very, very scary, but rumored because of like tabloids and that she just wanted to feel safe which I understand. Between these two kids, though, she did file for divorce. She did. Part 6, Pamela and Tommy. This also isn't a bra, just in case. It's a top. So in between these two kids, she does file for divorce, but they end up reconciling, which turns out to be a pattern. It's just that they're nuts for each other. Like, I saw so many photos of them, and I'm like, oh my God, like, you can feel how much they, like, wanted it. How much they wanted it. But I truly believe that the substance abuse on Tommy's end, like, it just, she wanted a family. She wanted a family, and she wanted to raise 2 kids. And I think that gets to a part where it's like, I love you, but I don't want to have to protect my kids from you. You know what I mean? So during all this drama, okay, the rights to the tape have now been sold to like a company called the Internet Entertainment Group. So now it's being distributed at even like a faster pace, okay? Because now it's instantly downloadable. So it's just like rapid fire. I still think the tape is being downloaded today, actually. And Pamela and Tommy ended up winning the lawsuit in 2002 for like $1.5 million, you know? And in order to keep it within their rights, they had to do like a one-time stream, and like something like $770,000 were made. But because of like lawyer fees and the business, like Internet Entertainment Group went under, she didn't make $1. They didn't make $1. If legal TikTok could like clarify that for me. I know the word injunction is somewhere in there, but the only injunction I know is spelling, and I don't even think that's right. Is it conjunction? What's your function? So with their careers, their marriage, the babies, the lawsuit, and the drinking, they were having a really hard time, especially Lee. And he reportedly said, you know, I was once the kids were born, I was number 3. I was like before I was like a little existent, but with 2 kids, I was like invisible. Later on, Tommy said, you know, like we had kids so fast that we had no time to like really get to know each other. And at one point, Tommy was like, Pamela, like, why didn't we work on our relationship? Like, why didn't we try to fix this? And she was like, we couldn't. We started having kids immediately. Like, with what time? So there was no chance for like a solid relationship because they were so caught up in like the world. Why can't I do English the way I want to, the way it was intended? Whatever. I know in Espanol we say, you know, it's a colonizer language, so I'm not even supposed to be speaking this language if you think about it. They were so caught up in the whirlwind of it all that they didn't have a moment to stop and be like, what's your favorite color? Like, what's your, you know? When's your birthday? So one night in 1998, their entire relationship is over. Part 7, Pamela and Tommy Lee. Can you imagine? Can you imagine TikTok? Can you imagine me today with this account? If I saw this hairstyle, I'd be like, lightning must have struck. You have to go, I did my 88 miles per hour, like vibes. You know? Great Scott! Like, literally. Pamela Anderson and Coolio. Like, truly. But it was the 90s. I understand. Okay, so 1998. One night, they get into an awful row. I am not English. So they get into an awful fight, right? All while Pamela is holding 7-week-old Dylan. And he attacks her and kicks her in the back, and she breaks nails, and she has red marks all over her, and she calls the cops. Immediately files for divorce. Listen, I'm gonna say something. Baby or no baby in her arms, horrible. But also baby in her. He must have been bad. So he goes to prison for 6 months for pleading no contest to spousal battery. And he has to go to mandatory counseling and community service. Tommy Lee later wrote, I couldn't understand why Pamela had followed through with pressing charges. She was probably scared and thought I was some crazy violent monster. Sherlock. She probably thought she was doing the right thing for the kids. Yes. Hold on. Yes, that's what she thought. And she probably wanted an easy way out of a difficult situation. An easy way out? I don't think that's an easy way out. And he said, as much as I loved Pamela, she had a problem dealing with things. It feels like to me unless there's something I don't know, it feels like she dealt with it. No? Like, to me. Like, I'm reading this and I'm like, she didn't deal with things the way you wanted to deal with them, which was privately and stay together. Later on, Pamela, I'm not saying that she's an angel, but the angel that is Pamela said that she gave a quote. I'm proud of him for taking responsibility. That sounds like she's a mom, you know? Like, I just feel I'm about her age when all this happened, and I feel like it comes to a point where, like, I can't love you for who you could be tomorrow. I have to love you for who you are today. And today you make me feel unsafe. Like, it's not a matter of love. It's not a matter of love. It's a matter of, like, this is not what I want. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like it's from him. It's coming from, like, this emotional place of, like, we love each other. And she's like, yeah, but that doesn't mean I'm down. You know what I mean? Like, that's handling things, I feel. He also gave her hepatitis C from sharing a tattoo needle. I'm just saying. Part 8, Pamela Anderson and Tommy Lee. And I'm just going to say this. A lot of these couples that we talk about are toxic couples, and we idolize them because of the style, because of the time. But I feel like the stigmas that we have today, like the way that we don't believe people, the way that we think people deserve X, Y, and Z, not we. I mean, horrible trolls on the internet that you should definitely take a test before you have access to Wi-Fi. But they were under constant scrutiny, right? Like, we have social media today, so we can kind of humanize people more. But at this time, people were not trying to intervene, help at all, because this was a great movie. You know what I mean? So yes, while they were together, they shared a tattoo needle, and Tommy Lee had hepatitis C and gave it to Pamela Anderson. And she was later cured of it years later after dropping like 100K on like experimental drugs and all of that, but I can't even. Her liver took a huge hit. And after all of this, in 2000, Tommy, I think, tells Rolling Stone. No, he told People. Everybody was talking to People magazine in the 90s. Every single quote from them is like, so-and-so told People. Where are these reporters from People? Now we get like, a panda was born in the zoo. Like, so in 2000, Tommy Lee tells People that they're back on. He's like, I'm nuts about her. I'm always going to be crazy about her. She's the love of my life. They break up and they try again in 2001. And I know what you're thinking, like, he kicked you while you were holding your kid. But love makes you do crazy shit. And when you're in love with somebody who's suffering from substance abuse, I think you see glimpses of the person that you love. And you want to stick around because you want to believe that that's truly them. But no matter what, there's always going to be 3 of you. Always. It's going to be you, the things they're dealing with, and them. And they're all separate. You know what I mean? So she says, Tommy physically attacked me in complete disregard for my safety, and more importantly for the safety of our children. But obviously, you know, they work stuff out. And so in 2008, they decide, this is over a decade of them back and forth, probably never stopping seeing each other, romanticizing the whole situation, like Capulet, Montague. I went to school, guys. Romeo and Juliet. So in 2008, they're like, let's give it another shot. Even Tommy was like, this is our 801st try. We've already tried 800 times. The kids move back in with Tommy. She moves back in with Tommy, and they break up pretty immediately. So they actually stay together for two more years. Fine, 2010. They stay together for 112 more Saturdays, whatever. In 2015, Pamela tells, you guessed it, People magazine, this. There was Tommy and then there was nobody else. He was the love of my life. We had a wild and crazy beginning that was too much for the both of us. Part 9, Pamela Anderson and Tommy Lee. Do you know this whole series, how hard it's been not to say Tommy Lee Jones, Pamela Anderson and Tommy Lee Jones? Yes, Men in Black. You know, it's been very difficult for me, and I'm very proud of myself. So in this part, just a TW, we're going to talk about some family drama. And family is difficult. I don't care how rich and wealthy and famous, where you land on the tax bracket. It's always going to be messy, okay? And Tommy has openly struggled with substance abuse for a long time. So we're going to talk about that. I feel kind of weird talking about this, but it's what happened. Oh, buckle up. So Tommy Lee and his son Brandon have not gotten along publicly. So there's a Father's Day post that Tommy Lee posted, and I'm going to read it to you. And I do not know this man. I'm sure he's very nice. This was a long time ago, but this makes my blood boil because I feel like we all know someone that sees himself as the victim. I'll let you, okay. He posted this on Father's Day. Tommy Lee. My father taught me to respect everyone and everything and to take care of those that I loved. He taught me to appreciate my possessions and to be grateful for the things I was given. I fucked up at times, but I bounced back. When I had a child, I scrolled. When I had a child, my first child, Brandon, I wanted to instill those same virtues in him. Virtues. 0 to hero. It was then that Lee unleashed and blamed not necessarily his shortcomings as a father, but his children's inability to grasp those so-called values. Shade, okay. Sometimes I feel like I failed as a father because my kids don't know the value of things. If they break something, they don't care because they know they'll just get a new one. If they hurt someone, they don't care because so many people tell them it's okay. Who? I never wanted this for my kids. You know what else your kid, okay. I know I'm not fully to blame because their mom has a lot to do with this. Wait, I did enabling bad behavior, but I guess at the end of the day, I hope they would grow up kind. I love my boys, but they be assholes too. Sir. Part 10, Pamela and Tommy. Okay, we're talking about some family stuff. It's gonna get a little real. So Tommy posts that to Instagram, okay? Within a matter of hours, Brandon responds. Remember what happened last time you said this shit? Night, night. And he posted a photo of his dad after he knocked him out. Like they got into a physical altercation. Okay? You gotta show up to be a dad, big guy. Not big guy. I'm sorry. I know. I just hate. I feel like from an outside perspective, you see things and it's so easily solved. You know what I mean? It's like, guys, love each other, but then you remember the things that we don't know. Does that make sense? Okay. I'm trying to speak out of love, okay? Don't be like, Tefi, you're weak. Of course I want to beat this man's ass when I read this shit. Are you crazy? You crazy? Brandon continues. If you think we're so bad, which I can assure you we are not, then you should have showed up to a few more birthdays and baseball games. Someone like you couldn't have raised a man like me. Oh, this is going to make me want to cry. Once again, painting our family in a negative light. Who the fuck are you? Just move on. Just move on, dude. We all have. Or I'll put you right back to fucking sleep. Brandon also posted a video of his father, presumably the night he had knocked him out during a heated argument. The case didn't make it to the DA's office after Tommy Lee did not pursue charges, okay? On Mother's Day, Brandon posts, Mom, I love you so much. Thank you for everything you've done for Dill and I. For Dill. You are a real life angel. Everyone that has had the pleasure of knowing you is truly blessed. One second. You light up every single room you walk into. It's an incredible privilege to be your son and to live my life knowing that one of the most interesting and intelligent women on earth created me. Happy Mother's Day. I love you. I'm a Cancer. Give me a second. Okay, then I found this blog post from Pamela Anderson, March 8th, 2018, after Tommy Lee posted that to Instagram. And she never talked about Tommy before, okay? For the record, I've made no comment anywhere to anyone before this. Beware of tabloid gossip. This is a matter of life and death. I'm surreally calm. I feel justice is at work. I'm not frantic or, as reported, devastated. I am hopeful. This is not new to us. Okay. I have goosebumps. I have complete faith in Brandon and his team to resolve this unfortunate and sad situation regarding his father. I pray Tommy gets the help he needs. His actions are desperate and humiliating. He is a disaster spinning out of control. And he is not acting like a father, but this is nothing new. I'm going to continue in the next part. This is insane. Okay, part 11, Pamela and Tommy. We're reading Pamela's blog post, and it is heart-wrenching because it's heart-wrenchingly real, I think. Like, it's not, she's so, it's like, it's just love. Like, she's a mom. Like, my sons have made every attempt to help him in recent months, staying with him to make sure he's okay. Just by being present with him, they were hoping he'd feel loved and act differently. I feared things might escalate, but knew this might be what it took to heal old wounds. Him blaming his son or us for anything is delusional. We have all tried to protect him and help him for too long, hoping he'd look after himself better. I do not like to comment about this. I feel that. She's so vulnerable right now, but feel like it's necessary because of Tommy's Trump style. Oh. No thought out rampage on Twitter and Instagram. This matter is ideally between just a father and a son, and rehab if the stars align. I will never talk to Tommy again before he is sober and in his right mind. Though he's made attempts to contact me, I've blocked him. It is impossible to reason with crazy. I'm sure the world can see the truth. I stand beside my son who acted out in self-defense and was scared for his life. Nobody understands the lifetime of disappointment this man has brought to our family. Consistently the center of sadness, drama, and confusion. Jealous of his son's talent and beauty from the day they were born, he is sick. The definition of a narcissistic sociopath. His fiance keeps him drunk. This is a long time ago. This is what he wants. Someone to behave badly with. It's terrible. And okay. It's complicated and very layered, and we don't know. Okay, whatever. He still cannot handle the guilt about his abusive behavior and has never taken responsibility for what he has done. Let's hope this will be his saving grace. I can only pray for him and protect my sons, who also fiercely protect me. Brandon has asked me to stay in France and not come home right now. He is happy and content, and I'm safe and loved where I am at. He has invaluable support, has everything under control. His heart amazes me. He still does not want to see his dad in jail. He just wants him to get sober. He was putting together an intervention so that whatever is left of his life can be healthy and peaceful, and maybe he will be a healthy part of their lives one day, maybe a positive part of our future grandkids' life. Brandon has risked everything to save his father. He takes his career very seriously. He does not touch alcohol or drugs. He understands his genetics and is an example to many. He's a tremendous talent that will show the world, but he has to put all on hold for dealing with this. His family, his brother, and our family is his priority. Believe me, he punched him in the nose for all of us who he has hurt. Now Tommy feels humiliated, is attempting to destroy his own son. This is the devil. This is the disease of alcoholism. Baby. So part 12, Pamela Anderson and Tommy Lee. In response to this, because Tommy responded, he goes, my fiance and I were in bed when my son busted into the room and assaulted me. I asked him to leave the house and he knocked me unconscious. He ran away from the police. That's the truth. Tommy also posted and deleted a selfie of his swollen lip, telling his Instagram followers that his heart is broken and his children, even your children, can turn against you. Dude. Then Brandon released a statement. I'm devastated at the events of the last several days and have been a result of my father's alcoholism. I've worked tirelessly organizing an intervention, and it's incredibly upsetting that it never came to fruition. I wanted my dad's hopeful sobriety and recovery to be a private family matter, but as a result of his accusations on social media, I feel forced to speak out. Of course you are. Sorry, I've never been a dad, but I have been a kid. You know what I mean? I have and will continue to cooperate with law enforcement as needed. I love my father. This is killing me, and I just want to see him sober, happy, and healthy. Then on Twitter, Tommy says, laughing my ass off. Dude, you're killing me. I'm happier than I have ever been in my entire life. I have a few drinks here and there because I'm fucking retired and enjoying life. I've worked 30 plus fucking years and I deserve it. You didn't arrange any intervention. You barely spoke to me while you were here. You're just covering your ass. See you later, social media. Can't read any more lies. Months later, they make up, and Tommy Lee posts a black and white photo of them hugging and says, I love you, son. And Brandon comments, I love you, dad. It's just pain. It's just painful, and I know a lot of time has passed, and I know that family is complicated, but reading that is I should have never known that. You know what I mean? Protecting your kids is more than just from the boogeyman and bullies. Protect your kids from this, One thing that's really hard for me is that after all that huge fight, Pamela went on Piers Morgan and talked about it. And then Tommy went back on Twitter and was like, I guess she has nothing to talk about except rehashing old shit. Signed, the abuser, who she texts every day. Like that, you're the father of her kids. Like, I'm not saying I think that this woman is perfect. Absolutely not. But oh my God. This is going to be the last part. I assume everything's okay. This is a long time ago, and things are complicated, and they're layered, and I'm sure with substance abuse, there's so many instances and things that we don't know. And I know that there's a book like the Motley Crue guys wrote. It's called The Dirt. You can read it. Pamela Anderson, like, I'm not trying to villainize anybody, and I don't know these people, but I'm just going to state the facts that she's a wonderful lady. She's a wonderful lady. She's a wonderful later, and I love her. Okay? So my favorite post on Instagram of all time is her last post. She hasn't posted since January 26, 2021. Okay? And I'm trying to show you the photo, but wasn't that beautiful? That photo of her that I showed you on my computer? You can kind of see it, but it's like a pixelated photo of her. She's a mom, and I assume it's from the 90s, and she looks stunning. And this is the caption. It always makes me cry. This will be my last post on Instagram, Twitter, or Facebook. I've never been interested in social media. And now that I'm settled into the life I'm genuinely inspired by, reading and being in nature, I'm free. It's like, kill me. Thanks for the love. Blessings to you all. Let's hope you find the strength and inspiration to follow your purpose and try not to be seduced by wasted time. That's what they want and can use you to make money and control over your brain. That part got a little wild there. But I love her, and the 90s were crazy. And I'm trying to lead with love as well, but it's so hard sometimes when you read about these things and people, I think you know what I'm trying to say. I don't want to say it. But blessings to all, and I hope everybody's okay. And that was today's story time. Did you like it? Spoiled. I'll probably do another series tomorrow too. Anyways, as I always say, goodbye. I love you, Pamela Anderson.